joining my channel. This is Scooter Pie here with an unboxing of the T-Motor F55 amp 4-in-1 ESC. Comes in a little box here, shrink wrapped tight. Here's some of the data information on the bottom. Looks like a pretty robust packaging job here. So let's open it up here. All right. Well, look at that. Oh my. Oh, it's got some weight to it. How much weight does it have? Let's find out. We have grams here. 17.6 grams. Alright, let's see what they have in the box here. Looks like you get a quality pass notification. It's kind of nice. You can see that. Looks like you get an XT60. It's kind of the nicer style with the boot on the back of it. Looks like 12 gauge wire. It is silicone and it's pre-tinned. And it looks like it's going to be a total of 120 millimeters. Yeah, 120 millimeter. And yeah, it is pre-tinned here on the end. Sometimes I like that and sometimes I don't, depending on what kind of solder they use. Looks like you get some gummies. So you have an M4 hole with an M3 screw to go through the gummy. That's kind of nice. Give you a couple capacitors. 35 volt, 470 microfarad. They are polarity, so you have your negative. So when you mount that on there, make sure that the negative of your cap is on the negative lead of your XT60. Basically like that. It looks like they do give you two of them, so that's kind of nice. 2 wiring harness. The Molex is, looks like it's the same, so you kind of have a backup capacitor and a backup connector here. Some nice silicone wires here. 100 millimeters. So you're going to have, so on your flight controller you have your ESC telemetry, if your flight controller supports that, and then you have your current sensor, so that'll go to your current sensor pad on your flight controller. And then it looks like we have all 4 signal wires in white. Signal 1, motor 1, signal 2, motor 2, signal 3, motor 3, signal 4, motor 4. Then we have our 5 volt. This ESC has a 5 volt 2 amp BEC. So you'll be able to do your, power your flight controller, power your VTX, your camera, LED, or whatever you choose to run a 5 volt line. So there's that one. And then this one is your battery sensor. So the voltage in your battery, you can plug this into your flight controller to your It's a monitoring port for your battery voltage. So that'll be nice. And it looks like ground here. And let me get this zoomed in for you here. Alright, it looks like it's nicely screen printed here. All down through there. So you plug that in. There you have it. Looks pretty good. A lot of options. So you have your current sensor here. It's a lot of capacitors. A lot of ceramic capacitors. Going to be quite a bit of filtration. Not to mention you're going to have this capacitor on there as well. I'm going to be running 5S, so I'm definitely using that capacitor. And this ESC can handle 3 to 6S. And yeah, the MOSFETs are pretty nice size. And they are 40 volt. So it can handle quite a bit. And this is a BL Heli 32. And it also has the ability to do like a beep, like a beacon. So if you're zero throttle for a certain amount of time, it will send a signal to the motors to make a beeping sound for you. I'm not really sure if I'll use that or not, because I always like to install a beeper. I don't like using the motors to create the beeping sound because it can tend to heat things up. But this is a 30.5 mounting. And let me see here. Anything else we could tell you about this? The one thing I wanted to say that whenever I unbox electronics, I always want to make sure no continuity between the positive and the negative ports. So as you can see here, there's no continuity through that. If you have continuity between these two ports here, your board isn't any good. And then also, if you have any continuity between the ground or any of these pads, sorry, if you have any continuity between ground and these pads, you're also having some issues. So I just like to check that sort of thing, just to give you an idea what would happen if there is continuity between the two. Before I start soldering on this thing, I am going to make sure that there is no continuity on any of these pads to ground. And now I'll check to make sure there's no continuity from the positive pad to any of these. Because if there is, again, it's bad, and I will send it back before I tin anything. I just make sure that there's nothing wrong with it. Everything checks out. All right. If you have any questions about this ESC, let me know in the comments. I'll try to answer any question you may have. And this bad boy is going into this frame. Oh, that's going to look really good. And I really like the fact when I was looking at purchasing this, the pads are on both sides. So I always like to mount the ESC and run the pad, or run my motor wires underneath. And just to give you an example of that. So like here's my 3-inch. And you can see that the motor wires are ran underneath. So that keeps it really nice and clean. See if you can see that there. So that's what I'm talking about. Just running that. Running those motor wires underneath. So it just turns out so much cleaner. The wires stay flat to the carbon fiber all the way around. So it turns out a lot nicer in my opinion. And the measurements are 45, 41, and 7, looks like just shy of 7.5 millimeters. So like I said earlier, if you have any questions about this flight controller, just let me know in the comments. Really want to answer any question I can for you. And this thing's going in the XL8 frame, and it's quite a jewel. Looks good in there. So thank you again for your time, and I really appreciate you visiting my channel. Thanks.